Hey guys, so Brooke and I will be talking about a client that I had last semester and that she currently has. Client K is a 4-year-old female with an expressive language delay. She began services at the Lamar Clinic in the fall of 2014 due to concerns from her mother about a delay. Her medical history is unremarkable. Her preferred language is English, however, her mother only speaks Spanish and it is difficult for our client to communicate with her mother at home. After being evaluated in both languages, our client has an expressive language delay in both Spanish and English. However, her receptive and expressive language skills are stronger in English than Spanish.
In the past, she has received therapy in both Spanish and English to enrich her language abilities in both languages. Current therapy targets include labeling of objects in Spanish and morphosyntax in English to enhance expressive language in both languages. In this video, we will only be focusing on the therapy in English since that's what we have provided to Client K. In English, she is able to narrate through a storybook and answer simple WH questions at the interpretation level with short utterances. Because of this, we will use a storybook-based intervention to target her long and short-term goals. Her prognosis for improvement is strong based on high client participation, strong family support, and improvements made thus far in therapy. Her long-term goal: Client K will use age-appropriate expressive language during daily activities. Her first short-term goal: increasing morphosyntax skills by demonstrating the correct use of regular past tense verbs in 7 out of 10 trials.
The procedure for this, the client and clinician will go through a storybook such as Clifford, Curious George, Little Critter, etc., and the clinician guides the client through WH questions at the interpretation level, closed procedures, and binary choice, emphasizing the activities or verbs the characters are doing. Afterwards, the client is given a picture of the verbs and asked what the characters did in the storybook to elicit regular past tense verbs.
Her second goal is increasing morphosyntax skills by demonstrating the correct use of possessives during 7 out of 10 trials.
Procedure for this is the client will join the client's sister in therapy and will engage in 10 minutes of play-based therapy where possessives will be demonstrated and cued throughout the session.
And her third goal: increasing morphosyntax skills by demonstrating the correct use of pronouns in 7 out of 10 trials.
The procedure for this is the clinician will present cards that represent pronouns such as he, she, and it, and the clinician prompts the client to correctly label the picture with the correct pronouns. An example of this would be, who is wearing a hat? And the client would say, she is.
Our therapy is completely storybook based and targeting our long and short-term goals. We just wanted to emphasize that we don't read to the client. We focus on the client narrating through the events and pictures, which also helps build expressive language through syntax and semantics, since the client has unintelligible utterances at times. The clinician guides the client with WH questions at the interpretation level, closed procedure, and binary choice.
Mole et al. In 2008 shows that children's vocabulary develops faster when they have an active participating role, especially during storybook reading, compared with children who have a more passive role. At times, our client chooses to act out what the characters do rather than saying it, and during this time, the clinician models the word to the client and has her imitate. Throughout the storybook, the focus is on the actions that the characters are doing in order to target morphosyntax of regular past tense, possessives, and pronouns.
A big part of our therapy was scaffolding strategies. So according to Bellin and Ogletree 2000, adult scaffolding strategies can be used during storybook reading to facilitate oral language organization and higher level language use. In this context, scaffolding strategies can be defined as procedures that support and encourage language and literacy growth. So we used closed procedures such as the mouse is, and the client will say eating. Binary choice such as did she wash the dog or did he wash the dog? And then WH questions at the interpretation level such as what is Curious George doing? Expanding on the child's utterances in response to WH questions. And direct modeling for the client for morphosyntax goals.
So for our contingency plan, a step up would be to move up in Brown's morphemes chart, target possessive ing, third person singular, and then step down would be to provide closed procedures and binary choice or direct modeling, imitation.
Okay, for data collection, we used a chart that focused on 10 trials throughout the session for each short-term goal, which would be regular past tense verbs, possessives, and pronouns. And also, we use data collection to see how much assistance, such as minimal, moderate, and maximum, is needed as the client is prompted to demonstrate morphosyntax skills.
We'll be focusing on a study done by Friedman et al. In 2016 that focuses on interactive storybook-based intervention on kindergarten children and their language development. It was published in the Journal of Early Intervention, and we found this through the Lamar Library Research Database. This study is a large-scale, longitudinal, quasi-experimental design. It looked into 683 kindergarten children who were randomly assigned into control and experimental groups. The control group were children who only received early childhood education, and the experimental group were children who received early childhood education along with interactive storybook-based intervention, similar to our client.
The results of this study showed that the children in the experimental group with the approach of interactive storybook intervention paired with early childhood education was effective in stimulating expressive vocabulary development. Within the interactive storybook-based intervention, children were encouraged to practice their language by giving input during activities, telling stories and their experiences, and by dialogic reading of the storybook playing an active role in language services. We think that this was a great article because it was a large scale and showed the importance and benefits of storybook-based intervention on expressive language. This related to our client because she fits into the experimental group because she receives early childhood education at school, along with storybook-based intervention at the clinic. The storybook-based approach has helped our client with her expressive language and being able to produce longer utterances with increased semantics and syntax. And that wraps up our video on Client K.
Thanks for watching.